Okay, welcome back to Man Cave Meals and Backyard Barbecue Basics. Today we are going to fire up the Akorn Kamado and cook a couple of Boston butts. Today we're also going to try something a little different. I'm trying out these Stubbs All Natural Briquettes today instead of lump. I've cleaned out my firebox and I have measured out exactly 8 pounds of these briquettes, so we can see how much of that we actually use during this cook and give you an idea of how efficient this cooker is. I've got some manzanita wood chunks spread out in there as well, and I've also taken a Weber lighter cube and cut it in half, put it right down here in the middle. So we're going to light that up, and then we're going to arrange some of the charcoal right on top of it, just a couple of pieces there, and we're going to let it start up. And while this thing comes up to temperature, we'll go get our butts ready. Okay, I've got everything lit. I'm trying to let my temperature come up very slowly. We're up to 189 degrees. When I get up to about the 250 mark, I'm going to put the meat on because I am targeting a 300 degree cook today. We're going to try that out and see if we can tell any difference between 300 degrees and lower and slower temperatures. I've got most of the vent just barely open on the top and on the bottom, trying to let it come up really slowly. And I've moved the cooker back up under the awning. It's really windy out here today. I don't know if you can really tell much, but it's coming and going. It's not too bad at the moment, but it's really gusting pretty good. So I want to try to keep the wind off the cooker as much as possible. So our temp's still coming up, so we'll be back at about 250. Okay, our pit's crept up to about 220 or so. I think I'm going to go ahead and open it up and put the meat on. And we've got 2 Boston butts. The individual butts aren't that large. It's a total of about 13 pounds of meat. So our target here is going to be a 6 or 7 hour cooker. Hopefully shorter, cooking at 300 degrees. So I'll set these guys on there and then I'll show you that. Okay, I've got these 2 on the grill. I'm cooking with my split pizza pan, both halves of it, as a diffuser, and we're going to insert the thermometer into the smaller of our 2 butts here because it's going to be the one to finish first. So we're going to try to get it right down in the middle of the meat and have our oven probe right in the middle above the 2. So we'll put the lid back down and let this thing continue to rise up till we can try to park it around 300 degrees. Okay, we're about 55 minutes in. Pit's up to about 287. And I've been tweaking the air vents very slowly to control the temperature here. I've got the top vent on about the 2 setting. And the bottom vent is on about the 1 setting. It's kind of hard to see there, but right there. And everything looks like it's going to do very well. This is the first time I've used Stubbs All Natural Briquettes, and one of the first things I've noticed here is that it's a lot easier to control lower temperatures in this particular cooker with that charcoal. So we'll just have to kind of see how it goes from here. We'll be back in several hours to have a look. Once again, I'd like to accent the note here. We've been going for just over an hour. My drum is up to 292, so it's been going long enough to kind of equalize the heat inside the drum or inside the Kamado, and reading 292 there. The dome thermometer reads 250, so I'm still looking at a 40 degree variance. We'll look at that again later on in the cook, see if they equalize out any, but traditionally a lot of your less expensive grills, the thermometer on them is not very accurate, and this one in my case appears to be no exception. Some of my friends that have this cooker are having a little better luck with it, so apparently all those thermometers are not created equal. Okay folks, we're about 3 hours in. Just a touch over 3 hours. Bit's at 297, the meat's up to 155, so it's cooking right along. Reading 297 there. Still reading about 250 here, so that hasn't really closed up any. And it's been pretty windy out here today. It's not real easy to see. It's coming and going, and but the Kamado's holding up real well in the wind. So we'll be back a little bit closer to the end of this cook, see what's happening. Okay folks, we're 4 hours and 20 minutes in. Our Kamado's still holding right around 300 degrees, and smaller of our two butts there's up to 182, so it's coming right along. It's still kind of breezy out here today. I don't know if you can see the wind catching the smoke off the top of that, but 300 degrees on the dial there, and about 250, 260 there, so they're still 40 degrees apart. Not much change there at all. We'll be back. I'm guessing that first butt, let's see, I'm fairly confident that guy's going to come off inside the 6 hour mark, so we'll be back when that one's ready to come off. Okay, our first butt's ready at the 5 hour and 10 minute mark, so we're going to get it off. There's what we're looking at. This one is ready to go. So we're going to see if we can wrangle that off of there one-handed. A little bit sticky. Sometimes a little bit of that bottom likes to stick to the grill. Okay, I'm going to have to set the camera down to get that off of there. Let's see if we can set it right there. See, that bone's wanting to fall right out. And we'll leave the second one on. It's only up at about 189, so it's not quite ready. So what we're going to do, we're going to wrap this guy in foil and then put it in the cooler that's preheated. So we'll be back momentarily when that other one's ready to come off. Just so you can get an idea of what I mean by resting, in case you're not familiar with this process, is I've got my cooler here. And about 15 minutes ago, I put some boiling water in it, and that warms the cooler up. So what I'm going to do now, we're just going to dump the water out. Then we're going to set this butt right down there in the bottom of it and cover it up with a dry towel, which helps hold the heat in. We're going to let that rest, and when the other one comes off, we're going to put it in there with it and let it rest in there for about 2 hours before we take it out to pull it. Okay, we're 5 hours 36 minutes in, and our second butt is ready. Just checked it at 195. So I'm going to take it off now and wrap it up in foil, just like we did the first one, and then put it in the cooler. And that's going to be about the end of this cook. I am going to run my Kamado up to about 600 degrees for a few minutes to burn off some of that grease and crap that's on the grill that's left over from this. and then I'll shut it down and let it cool, and we'll see how much charcoal we ended up using today, because I know we started out with 8 pounds, so we'll go from there. Here's a little bit of look at some of that smoke boiling out of this thing after I ramped the temperature up. It's up to about 400 degrees now, and like I said, I made a mistake on this cook, if you want to call it a mistake. I should have put drip pans underneath those Boston butts to catch most of that rather than let it go down in the cooker. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to burn it out. These Kamados are basically self-cleaning. I can run this thing up to 600 or 700 degrees for a little bit, and it'll turn every bit of that to ash. It's a lot of smoke still boiling out of there. We're up to about 500. Smoking up the whole neighborhood.